Will Lewis Hamilton leave Mercedes at the end of the season? 60% of you say yes, 40% say no. Now, Boombox Master commented on that poll and said there's one article from F1 saying that Hamilton's result this year won't decide his future, which is true from a Mercedes point of view, I think, but not from a Lewis point of view. Lewis definitely holds the cars. Mercedes will probably want to continue him in the car because no matter what, he's still a 7-time world champion. He's still, if the car's there, then he can still potentially be the best chance of winning the championship, although Russell will have something to say about that. But of course, there's been lots of comments from Lewis recently claiming that the Red Bull is the fastest car he's seen in Formula 1, as Verstappen breezed past this. And there's somebody who did some data on this, by the way, and it actually backed it up. But it's not that marginal. It's marginal compared to the Mercedes lot, but it is the data does back it up. They are so fast in a straight line, 20 mile an hour more than the next fastest car in a straight line. They have enough downforce as well to be able to carry it off through the corners. This is why Mercedes are so fast. Now, obviously, Lewis was moaning about the setup in Jeddah, saying if he had George's setup, then he perhaps could have done better. As well, obviously, he tried to go past George in the race on the mediums, but Russell just ran away basically as well. And he's also come out and said he doesn't feel connected to the car, suggesting that the car is designed for George Russell and not Lewis Hamilton. So this begs to differ. If Hamilton's no longer Mercedes' number one priority, then there's clear going to be problems going forwards, because this could be the end of for Hamilton at Mercedes as well. And he's also obviously mentioned a lot earlier that Mercedes didn't listen to Lewis about their 2023 car as well. When while developing, they went with the same concept as last year, and although they had a better showing in Jeddah than they did in Bahrain, it's still not where they want to be. Russell only P4S. Aston Martin clearly look a little bit faster than them. Although they have got Stroll, and I think they didn't have great strategy there. If the safety car hadn't come out, where Mercedes would have featured with Ferrari had horrendous pace as well. And this is the problem for Lewis, because if he leaves Mercedes, where does he go? Option 1, Ferrari. Obviously Uncle Fred, as people call him, he's got a favourite driver in Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz, not having the best starts again, really. It's not great for Carlos. 4th and the 6th. He's still ahead of Leclerc in the championship, but when it comes down to it, neither one is outshining the other, really, and potentially a time for Fred could say, I've had enough. Now, Hamilton does have his own sponsorship. He would bring sponsors with him from Mercedes to whichever team he decides to go to. Ferrari could use that sponsorship, although they have Santander on board. Would Santander leave if they didn't have a Spanish driver as well? That's obviously something else to think about. But obviously Lewis is such a big he's such a big name in the sport for people outside of F1. Ferrari is a big name in the sport as well. The two and two together will be marketing heaven as well. And I think he could potentially push Leclerc along, which Sainz isn't really doing because they're just matching each other. Now, would Sainz move the other way? That's the thing. to Mercedes. Mercedes would have one eye on Lando Norris potentially to replace Hamilton, bearing in mind that the McLaren is also another option for Lewis, but they've produced a toaster for a car this year and sit last in the championship. In actual fact, Lando is last behind his teammate in the Drivers' Championship right now. It's not been a great start for McLaren. They did have to show some pace. And would Lewis leave a Mercedes team to rebuild McLaren? Possibly not, because Ferrari present the better chance of a world championship. Then you've got maybe like Aston Martin if Lawrence Stroll decides to kick out Lance, but that depends. I'm not entirely sure he would do that. As well, Alonso apparently has got a contract until 2027, has been rumoured about then and will be bandied about. Although at least a couple of years, so he's definitely going to be in that car next year, Alonso. Then you got Alpine, which they have, to be fair, Alpine are a good midfield car. They're not able to catch the top four though at the moment, so they're just sitting in 5th place really. But obviously Alpine have just got a new driver in the form of Pierre Gasly, and they've also got Esteban Ocon. I doubt they're going to throw one of them out for Lewis Hamilton, especially the fact they're throwing about this French marketing branding at the moment. And would Lewis want to move to a team that's only fighting for 5th? That's the problem that he has. So realistically, Ferrari is Lewis's potentially only option of a race seat elsewhere for Mercedes in 2024, being realistic for the positions he wants to have, especially the fact McLaren not got the car right now. Doubt they're going to have the car next year because they're doing a deja. They've gone backwards in actual fact with their car. You know, they're probably going to go backwards again next year and leave for Lando Norris leaving it anyway, but that's a future problem for McLaren. For Lewis, I personally still will, as I said in my predictions, I think he'll stick with Mercedes, and I think he'll finish his career with Mercedes. Now, whether or not he then decides to sign another year contract and then just decides it's to call it a day, potentially, I don't know. Maybe he'll call it a day at the end of 2025. It ultimately depends on what Mercedes can provide for him throughout later this year, and whether or not he has the chance to be able to have the car that works for him as well as Russell. That's the problem he has. He needs to get to grips with the car, and if he can't do that, then he's not going to have a great season. So yes, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Lewis Hamilton will leave Mercedes at the end of the season? And if so, what team do you think he'll go to? Do you think he'll go to Ferrari? Do you think he'll go back to McLaren? Or is there another team potentially he could look to move for 2024? But if you are new around here, then please do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and goodbye.